So today we're going to talk about proof in algebra. Many of you have. Do you guys remember justifying each step from previous sections? That's what we're doing, justifying, basically. So your homework is going to be like the ones that you see, that you saw from the previous section. Okay, so let's do some of these. Okay, so example 1, we're going to justify each steps. Okay, so it will say prove for all real numbers, for all numbers a and b. Okay, show that this is given. Show that if I have a plus b minus b, what does it equal to, guys? What does a plus b minus b equal to? Yeah, a. Okay, exactly. And you're like, well, that's easy. Of course it's a, right? A plus b minus b, that's of course a. What do they mean by prove this? Well, what do you think they're going to do? Yes? Yeah, you're going to have to use these properties one step at a time, you know what I mean? And see if we could prove. So here, let's start with, so we're going to start with this. Guess what we're going to start with? If I want to go from here to here, guess what we're going to start with, guys? Which statement did we going to start with? Parentheses a plus b minus b first, okay? Right? And, of course, this is because of what? This is because of given. You see what I mean? Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2. What do you think they're going to do afterwards? Anybody have an idea? How would you go about doing this? Okay, so let me give it to you. I'm going to, so I have this, right? They're going to say this is going to equal to a plus b in parentheses plus negative b. Okay, is that okay? Question? Yeah, what do you think the answer is? What's the reason? This is what they're going to ask you right here. They're going to ask you to fill it out. Property of subtraction? Not quite. There wasn't a property of subtraction. Yes, Arvin? What? Definition of subtraction is exactly definition. You guys remember this? Remember this game that we played? Right? You have to justify each step. What do they do from here to here? And they're really nice. They even write this previous step before, for you. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. So it could be kind of interesting. Because people are like, wow, how come they do it? Sometimes how come they don't? Just don't worry about it. Sometimes they write the previous step, sometimes they don't, right? You see what I mean? And guess what they're going to write over here? The previous step. What do we have right here? Okay, plus. Oops, that's how you be. And now, after this, they're going to write, anybody want to guess what they're going to write next? Yes? Say it again. Just A? Not quite. We think that, of course, when you have this, it's so obvious that, a plus b plus negative b is going to be a, but we got to do it step by step using all these properties. That's the game. So, Jonathan, what do you think? Remove the parentheses. Yes, they're going to put a plus instead of, they're going to do it this way. Can I put a bracket? Because I already have parentheses. Is that okay? Right? You see how they're doing it like one step at a time? What property tells you that this is true? Yes? Associative property of, there were 2 types. Which one? That's right. Associative property of addition is what you get. Is that okay? You see what they're doing? Do you guys remember this? Okay, so it's sort of, they're now reviewing all these things that we've been doing before. Now, anybody see what to write next? Yes.
A plus, and then in the brackets B minus B.
Yeah. So A plus B plus negative B equals to A plus 0. What do you think this is called? How do they go from there to there? Fourth step? Yes, sir. No, this is a special substitution. When you have B plus negative B, what do we call this one? Yes, sir, Kyle? Not quite. That's after this one. When you add something to A plus 0, right? That's you get A, right? That's the identity property of addition, right? For this one, they went from B plus negative B. You know, they didn't even have to put these anyway. So they B plus negative B, it became 0. What do we call that? Aleph. Say it again. Property of opposite is correct. You guys remember that one?
Yeah, I do know.
Okay, good. That's why we're doing this. Okay, property of opposite. Okay? All right. Okay. And of course, fifth step, they're going to write A plus 0 is equal to A. What is this called? We just said it. Take it. You don't want to just say identity property. You want to say of addition. Very good. Identity property. Yeah, question?
You wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Maybe it's better if I write 5. Thank you, Sabrina. Sort of. Okay, is this easy? You guys remember this? Yeah? Okay, good. So that was example 1. Let's do example 2. Okay? Example 2. So this is sort of things you'll be doing for your homework tonight. Is this okay? You think you could do this, guys? Yeah? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do this one. For all real numbers, A and B again. And then they say such that we'll fill this in a minute. They say this: prove that if I have 1 over AB, this equals to 1 over A times 1 over B. Well, we know this is true. Didn't we, right? Didn't you know that if I have 1 over AB, isn't it 1 over A times 1 over B? Because how do you multiply fractions, right? You multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. What's 1 times 1? 1. What's A times B? AB. Okay, so that's easy. But again, we're going to be justifying each step. Does that make sense? Now, who thinks they know what goes in here, such that we gotta say something before we could actually go in? Because this is not always true. One person see it? Just one? Really? I think if she says it, I think a lot of you reckon. Go ahead. What do you think?
That I can't equal 0.
Exactly. What happens if A is 0, guys? Is the number A can't be 0? Because look, if A is 0, could you have this sort of number? No. Exactly. And also what? What else can't be 0? Yes, sir.
B is equal to 0.
Yeah, B. No, it's not equal to 0, but B can't be 0.
B can't be
Yeah, so we say B can't be 0 like this. Does this mean A and B have to be both 0 at the same time? Or does it matter? If A is just 0 and B is 10 or something. So when I say A can't be 0 and B can't be 0, right? Does that mean A and B both have to be 0? Or is it okay if it's one of them is 0? Yeah, it's just one of them. Right? Just, A can't be 0, right? It doesn't mean A and B both can't be 0 at the same time. A could be 0, B could be 1 million. It'll still be undefined. Does that make sense? Or B could be 1 million, A could be 0, right? Well, yeah. That's what I just... A could be negative 1 million, B could be 0, right? It's still undefined. So we don't... I mean, is it okay if they both be 0 at this time?
Yeah.
Right. If they're both 0, of course, it's undefined. So we want to avoid those cases, right? Because it'll be undefined. So let's go about doing this. Let's prove this one. Here, we're going to start with... Anybody have any guess what we're going to start with? By the way, and they even tell you what this is called. The name of this is called property of the reciprocal. You don't have to memorize these properties that they give you, because on the homework tonight, some of these have names on them. Property of reciprocal of a product. What do you think they have name for these, and they give you this name? Anybody? We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so let's start with, anybody know what we're going to start with to prove this one? This one's sort of hard because, not hard, they kind of do it a little bit differently. So, they start with this. Here, they start with AB times 1 over A times 1 over B. And they give you this as a given. Okay? So, this, I shouldn't have actually given this example. Right. Okay, so let's just see whether it makes sense. First, they do this, and secondly, they say this equals 2, and you're like, wait a minute, what, I shouldn't have given you this one example. But don't worry, let's just go along with this, and just fill out the blanks. Okay, so after this, they tell you that, can I write this as A over, it's given. What if they did this for you? A over, they don't put A over. How about if I say AB times 1 over AB, oops, cancel, 1 over AB, 1 over B. Then they say this equals to A times 1 over A times B times 1 over B. What would you write that as the step if they did this? So here's 1, step 2. What would you write? Anybody? What sort of property would apply? One person knows? If they were really being careful, you could have actually done it with this 2 steps. Maybe that's why you're, okay? All right, let me step back a little bit. Can you erase this? I'm sorry. What if I did this? They did, okay, what if I did this? B and 1 over A. What if I did this? Now, does that help you to figure out what that step is? What property is that called if I did this? One person, a lot more now, 2 people. I want you to talk to your group. What property have I just used? If I wrote A times B in parentheses, now it's times 1 over A times 1 over B. I got now B times 1 over A is in there. What would you call this? Go ahead, I'll give you time. What do you guys think? How about Lisa? Very good. This is the associative property of, I'm sorry. Here, associative property of addition or multiplication? Multiplication. Isn't that what they did? Look, they had the parentheses around AB, and then the other one, now they had the parentheses around B times 1 over A. Is that okay? Yes.
Before you switched it,
Right.
when it was A times 1 over A or whatever,
Uh-huh.
couldn't it have been like property or reciprocals or whatever?
No.
Is there property called that?
Okay. No. Okay, now, and let me show you what happens after. Can I not write the previous step? Can I just go here? Is that okay? When I do this, this means that step is right here, you know. That's why we're giving some space and then writing on the right side. But let's do this. Then they're going to do this. Watch this. A times 1 over A times B times 1 over B. Okay? And then they did this. All right, what do you think this property is called? Actually, I shouldn't put the parentheses here. I'm just going to do it this way. Okay? I'm going to leave the parentheses where it was. Okay, what do you guys think? I have A times 1 over A times B times 1 over B. What is this called? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. How about Angie? That's correct. Do you guys recognize this property? What do? We switch the order around, right? In terms of now we have, like, think of this as A times B. Now we have B times A. This is called the commutative property of what? Very good. Does that make sense? In the book, they went from step right here, this to this, skipping this associative property of multiplication, right? If they did that, it's still commutative property of multiplication. Is that okay? Do you see what they did there? But I wrote this one for you because this is what's really happening. So they did two steps at once. They shouldn't have, but they did. But you may see this on your homework. Does that make sense? You see what I'm talking about? They could skip this step right here. Okay, give me a sec. So on your book, they went from step 2 to this directly. Okay, right? If they did that, you're gonna still write down the for reason, even though they took actually 2 steps, right? You're gonna just write down commutative property of multiplication. Is that okay? So you may say this. That's why I wanted you to be aware of. Because you may go, wait a minute, didn't they do really 2 steps? Didn't they do the associative property then take the commutative property, right? If they did that, just write down commutative property of multiplication, the last property that you used, that was used. Do you see what I'm trying to say? No?
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody explain to Serena? What am I trying to say here? Maybe it may not be her. Yeah.
That in the book they don't use the associative property. They just go from the first one to the third one.
They go from step 1 to step 3 directly without skipping these. So on your homework tonight, they may give you something like this. So don't be alarmed if you see that. Right? Sometimes they skip a step like this. So that's what I want you to understand. Okay? Then what we do is we go to step 4. And I don't want to write the previous step again. Is that okay if I just write it on the right side? Okay? Without copying this? Is that okay? All right. So then, anybody see what we're going to do? Now we're going to say this. A times 1 over A. Oops. 1 over A. In parentheses, times B times 1 over B in parentheses. What step is this called here? What are you going to write this step? This one. Anybody? One person? Come on. Okay, let me give you a hint. Did we change the order at all? We had A times 1 over A, B times 1 over B. A times 1 over A, B times 1 over B. Did we switch any order? Change the order? No. All we did was what? Change where the parentheses is, right? Kira, what do you think? Exactly right. Very good. Associative property of multiplication. And could you believe it? The book actually skipped this step too. So like I said, if they do, don't worry about it, okay? You just have to fill in the properties that's being used. Okay, so that's for 4th step. 5th step now. Again, I'm going to skip the copying that. And anybody see what we could write? What are we going to write now? It's going to be, yes, Dominic? Exactly, 1 times 1. Then what would the reason be, 5th step? One person see it? This is sort of, right? What do you get when you multiply A times its reciprocal? You get 1, right? What is this called? Anybody remember this one? No? Dominic? Yeah, property of reciprocals. Okay. Is that okay? And of course, that's the last step, 6. They're gonna write 1. Okay. So this equals to 1. What do you think this? What do you think the reason is? Don't write substitution, because this is a special substitution. If you multiply something by 1, you get yourself back. This time you're multiplying 1 times 1. Thomas?
Identity property of multiplication.
You got it. It's the identity property of. Oops. Let me do that in red since I've been doing it in red. Identity property of multiplication. Okay? Does that make sense? And that's what you will be doing on the right side. You will be writing down the properties, right? Justifying each step. Please don't be alarmed again if they skip a step, like the associative property and so forth. They like to skip that one a lot, okay? Yes?
Do we have to write the whole thing below?
Yes. You need to copy down the question, and then you need to write down the properties that it this is on word problems. But there are only 6 of them for you to try. And of course, should you be checking the odd ones from the back of the book as you do it? If you're confused, yeah. Okay. Does this make sense? Do you see what kind of homework you get tonight? But do you see anything odd for this? look at look at what they said. Is this what we proved? No, right? We did something totally different looking, it looks like, right? Doesn't it? Yeah, no, I mean, shouldn't we go from 1 over A over B to 1 over A times 1 over B? Shouldn't we do that? Why do they do this? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But don't worry about that for now, okay? It turns out, doing it this way, proving that AB times 1 over AB equals to 1 is really the same thing as proving this, okay? So don't worry about it. You don't have to understand that part. But do you understand how to write down these properties on the right side? Right? Do you know how to justify each step? Okay? Now, on your homework, one thing that's interesting is this. They say, let me read to you the direction. It says, write the missing reasons for exercise 2 to 8. Assume that each variable represents real number except as noted. And what you have to do is, sometimes they ask you to, you could use the previously proved theorem. So if they ever have a step that goes from 1 over A, B to 1 over A times 1 over B, you could actually write down, the reason for this is, instead of all these properties that we learned, you could actually write down property of the reciprocal of product as the reason. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So if they ever have a step where 1 over AB becomes 1 over A times 1 over B, what are you going to write down for your reason? Property of the reciprocal of the product. Does that make sense? So you may use one of the previous proved theorems or previous statements to do these. Okay, so that's why they give you a name for these. Some of them. Okay, so you could actually write down the name. Or sometimes they write exercise 3 or something, proved in exercise 3. Because if there was, things like that. So you'll find out as you do your homework. There aren't that many of them, but if you ever see that on your homework, just note that these are some of the things that we proved previously. Okay, so yes. No, this will not be. Your quiz will just have solving equations. That's all. Yeah.
So what's going to be on the quiz tomorrow? Because I can work.
Okay. For the last, who could tell us what's going to be on the quiz tomorrow? I thought I was pretty clear, but obviously I wasn't. Two people know. Maybe that's a good thing that we're going over this. What's going to be on the quiz tomorrow? Okay, a little more. Aleph? Solving equations. The variables can be on the both sides of the equation. It could be on the one side of the equation. So all those things. So basically, the fourth step. You know how you get an equation on the 5-step plan? You're gonna have that equation. You just have to solve that equation. And we're gonna have a separate quiz on the word problems tomorrow. Is that okay? Yes? All right. Good.